Before anyone calls it an empire, before anyone notices the headlines, every great story begins with a quiet moment. A moment when someone looks at their life and realizes they've hit the ceiling of what's possible if they keep doing what they're doing. For Patricia Williams, that moment hit in the early 1980s in Los Angeles. She was a single mom with 2 daughters, working steady jobs that paid the bills but didn't create a future. She wasn't struggling because she lacked a work ethic. She was struggling because she was playing a game designed to keep her exactly where she was. There's something about motherhood that sharpens purpose. You stop thinking about survival and start thinking about legacy, and Patricia felt that deeply. She wanted her daughters to grow up in a world where opportunities weren't scarce, where doors opened and where money wasn't a constant worry. But wanting a better life and creating one are 2 different conversations. The second requires risk. Patricia wasn't born into wealth. She wasn't surrounded by business owners. She didn't have entrepreneurs in her family tree. What she did have was the kind of determination that doesn't come from textbooks. It comes from necessity. It comes from looking at 2 young girls and knowing you owe them more than the life you were handed. Then she heard about the McDonald's franchise program, not through a formal seminar or business conference, just word of mouth, the way opportunity often shows up for people who aren't plugged into elite circles. A friend mentioned it, the idea stuck, and that was enough to pull Patricia into a new direction. At that time, the idea of a black woman owning a McDonald's franchise wasn't common. It wasn't expected. It certainly wasn't encouraged. But Patricia didn't ask the world for permission. She simply asked herself one question. What if this is the doorway? Not what if I fail? Not what if I'm not qualified? What if this is the chance I've been waiting for? That's the shift most people never make. They see opportunity and immediately calculate the risk. Patricia saw an opportunity and calculated the potential. But the moment she decided to pursue the franchise path, she hit the first wall: money. Becoming a McDonald's operator required capital, credit, training, and a business background she didn't yet have. Most people would have walked away right there. Most people would have assumed the opportunity wasn't meant for someone like them. But that's not how legacy builders think. They don't ask what they have. They ask what they're willing to do. So Patricia began saving. She took extra work. She studied. She attended the required classes. She learned restaurant operations from the bottom up, absorbing every detail like her life depended on it. Because in many ways, it did. She wasn't chasing wealth for ego. She was building a foundation for her family. This part of the story rarely gets told. The nights spent at a kitchen table, the loans, the sacrifices, the classes, after long shifts. People see the success decades later and assume it was inevitable. But nothing about this was guaranteed. After months of paperwork, training, and relentless effort, Patricia finally secured her first franchise. It was just one store, but one store was everything. One store represented possibility. One store meant she had stepped out of survival mode and into creation mode. What most people forget is this: legacy begins the moment you refuse to settle for the story you inherited. And that's exactly where Patricia started. The first store and the reality of building from scratch. People love to romanticize the moment a business begins. The ribbon cutting, the new sign, the excitement of ownership. But what they don't see is the grind that follows. When Patricia opened her first McDonald's, she wasn't stepping into a comfortable CEO role. She was stepping into an operating battlefield. The first months weren't glamorous. They were overwhelming. She hired employees, trained teams, learned scheduling systems, handled inventory, cleaned floors, covered shifts, dealt with customer complaints, and balanced books late into the night. She wasn't just the owner. She was the manager, supervisor, accountant, and problem solver. Running a fast food restaurant may look simple from the outside, but any operator knows the truth. It's a living machine. Every employee affects every detail. Every system connects to 10 others. One weak link can throw everything off. Patricia had to learn the rhythm of operations the same way a musician learns the rhythm of a song, by living inside it. But here's the part that makes Patricia different. She never flinched. She didn't complain about how hard it was. She embraced it. She understood that mastery is built through repetition, and she let the restaurant teach her. There were nights when employees quit without notice, days when the equipment broke down, weeks when the store underperformed. There were corporate inspections, scheduling nightmares, supply shortages, and unpredictable rush hours. Patricia experienced all of it, and still, she showed up every day. Slowly, the results followed. She adjusted systems. She built a stronger team. She raised the standard. Her employees respected her because she respected the work. She wasn't the type of owner who hovered in an office. She was hands-on, present, engaged. Business improved. Customers noticed. Her leadership became undeniable. This was the turning point. The moment she realized ownership wasn't the finish line. It was the beginning. She didn't want to stop at one store. She wanted more, not for status, but for stability, because she understood something most people ignore. One business is survival. Multiple businesses are freedom. And with that realization, her ambition expanded. This wasn't just about feeding her family anymore. It was about changing her family's trajectory. Raising daughters and raising an empire. Success means nothing if it dies with you. Patricia knew that. She didn't just want to build a business. She wanted to build a lineage, a new branch on her family tree. And she knew her daughters, Nicole and Carrie, were part of that future. But Patricia didn't hand them positions. She handed them the responsibility. Both daughters underwent the full McDonald's training program. They learned operations, management, finance, customer service, and leadership. They weren't sheltered from the intensity of the business. They were shaped by it. As adults, they became owners themselves, not because of their mother's name, but because they earned it. And with their arrival, the franchise group transformed from a business into a multi-generational machine. Together, the three women expanded. 2 stores became 4, 4 became 8, 8 became 13. They modernized operations, upgraded technology, improved hiring standards, and strengthened leadership pipelines. Their restaurants became known for efficiency, quality, and culture. By 2017, the Williams Family Franchise Group crossed the $50 million annual revenue mark, making them one of the most successful African-American multi-unit McDonald's operators in the country. But the numbers are the least interesting part. What matters is the symbolism. 3 black women, a mother and her daughters, built a corporate dynasty in an industry where few people who look like them ever get the chance. They built it in neighborhoods others overlook. They built it without generational wealth. They built it because Patricia refused to let limitations define her life or her daughters' futures. This is legacy, not the kind you read about in history books, the kind that happens in real time, one decision at a time. The storms, the struggles, and the unbreakable mindset. Most people want success without sacrifice. They want the praise without the pressure. But Patricia's journey didn't come wrapped in ease. Behind every store they opened were problems, obstacles, and setbacks big enough to derail anyone who wasn't fully committed. Some stores struggled financially. Others faced staffing issues. Certain neighborhoods were hit with crime waves that affected customers and employees. Corporate regulations shifted. Labor costs increased. Economic recessions arrived without warning. And every time a problem hit, it hit the entire family. But here's what made the Williams women unstoppable. They never saw challenges as signs to quit. They saw them as part of the price. Patricia never hid the storms from her daughters. She let them see the pressure. She let them experience the decision. She let them learn how to lead through chaos. Because she understood something most people don't. You don't build strength by avoiding responsibility. You build strength by stepping into it. Every setback created skill. Every hardship created resilience. Every obstacle created leadership. The Williams empire wasn't built on luck. It was built on consistency, on refusing to quit when quitting would have been easier, on understanding that businesses grow through seasons, some bright, some dark, but growth only ends when the owner walks away. And Patricia never walked away, because she wasn't building a business. She was building a future, a new identity for her family, a legacy rooted in ownership, not survival. From one store to a legacy that will outlive them. Technically, the Williams Franchise Group doesn't measure $1 billion on paper, but in influence, in community impact, in generational change, in the number of lives they've touched through employment, mentorship, and opportunity, they've surpassed it. Their restaurants provide jobs for hundreds of people each year. Their leadership has opened doors for other minority franchise owners. Their story has inspired countless entrepreneurs who saw themselves in Patricia, someone who didn't start with privilege, connections, or an easy path. This is what legacy really looks like. It's not money. It's not fame. It's not public recognition. It's the ripple effect your decisions create long after the world stops clapping. Patricia Williams didn't just build a business. She rewrote her family's path. She proved that a single mom with a vision can build an empire brick by brick. day by day, shift by shift. She proved that greatness doesn't require the perfect start. It requires the right intention. And she passed that code down to her daughters, who will pass it down to theirs. This is the story of what happens when you refuse to let limitations define you, when you choose legacy over survival, when you decide to build something today that your family will thank you for long after you're gone. That is the true fortune. That is the true empire. That is the true meaning of the legacy code. If you got value from this video, give it a like and subscribe. That way, we can continue this journey together.